It's been almost an hour since Richard left. He promised he called me if anything happened, but he hasn't. So all I can do is wait and wait. Oh no, I'm not. Just a little. Should I put a record on? No, it's too late for that. I'm not in the mood for music anyway. There's nothing on at this hour. I see no point in turning it on. The tick seems so loud. It just goes to show how quiet it is. Fax machine? It's a fax machine. I really find used to it. I don't know anyone else who owns one. Come to think of it, I never offered him any tea. Not that I ever learned how to make it. What? What's this? A newspaper? It must have fallen off the chair. Let's read it. We got nothing to do anyway. It's a newspaper. I only leave them in here for the guests. I hardly ever read them myself. I don't think I've taken the time to go over one in years, in fact. Well, it's not like I have anything better to do. Ooh, society? It looks like the city's biggest problem right now is pollution. I remember how the air and water used to be even more polluted. The river was covered in scum from all the sewage and industrial waste, and it stank so badly it made my eyes water. Eventually, people started getting sick, and it couldn't be ignored anymore. Fortunately, it's gotten better since then, although the air around the industrial districts is still filthy with gas and smoke. Think? I know it's dangerous to go out, but I can't just sit here and let this opportunity pass me by. I have to look for her, for Michio Shiraishi. But first I need to find more soul dregs. All sort of articles around the current state of the economy. Now that the post-war boom has passed its peak, we're moving to the era of large corporations. It's about 220 to 230 yen to the dollar. Manufacturing is on the rise and exports are healthy. The dollar's down from its height and people are saying it could fall further. There's no denying how much the standard of living has improved in the past few years. It's common to own a car and television now, and supermarkets are better stocked than ever. Let's read all them. Now that everyone has more spending money to go around, people are coming up with all kinds of new diversion. It seems like only yesterday that people were flocking to the arcades to shoot aliens. But now we have these enormous theme parks and gaming machines that plug straight into our televisions. Everyone's talking about superhero series, foreign films, and movies based on the latest bestseller. Back in my day, fusion rock and folk music was all the rage, but now it's all about city pop and idols. I find it hard to care about that sort of thing anymore. Yeah, you're old lady. Everyone attends high school now, even girls. Universal education policy, they call it. The country's gotten rich enough that every child can go to school. Education is the backbone of modern society. If you want to work for a good company, you have to get into a good university. With more people in the running than ever, the competition to get into those universities has gotten fierce though. The new generation is rebelling. Schoolyard violence and delinquencies are on the rise. But my boy was too sensible to get mixed up in any of that. I don't want to read anymore. It will only remind me of him. Yes, you do. What? I don't really watch much television. It feels as if all the information in the world got passed through that little black box. But father stopped them from reporting on the kidnapping back when it happened. I was glad about that last fuss. Now the comedy boom is over. All the comedians are flocking to other genres. The occult seems really popular at the moment. Look at all these paranormal specials. Paranormal specials? Oh, there's no. I heard the new big thing is some mascot line of delinquent birds, mockingbirds. I think it's called. Was that what Richard was talking about? Trends seems to have such short shelf lives now, with how quickly the time are changing. I think I'm just too old to keep up anymore. It's young people who are leading the way with their modern world views. My generation will only fall further behind. Although with everyone flocking to the city, land prices are skyrocketing. Nowadays, most people can only dream of home ownership. The city center is going to be nothing but apartments before long. Hmm. I'm not exactly a businesswoman, so this all feels like another world to me. If there's one thing that Honjo never wants for, it's horrific crimes. They found a police officer dead in a local park just the other day. A lot of my family are in the police. I hope it wasn't anybody I knew. I don't read the news anymore, not since last year. It brings back bad memory. There's one more in society. Suicide at local high school. Oh, I remember that. A high school girl jumped off a roof about a week ago. She was bullied, I think. Or maybe it was something about exam pressure. What? But no, this can't be right. Her name. Michio Shiraishi? From Komagata High School? It can't be. So she's dead? Michio Shiraishi, the same girl who witnessed my son's kidnapping, committed suicide last week. But that means Mr. Jonoichi was terrified of someone who already died. Is that what he meant by a curse? I can't work this out on my own. Maybe Richard will know. Why won't he call? I haven't left it off the hook, have I? Where's your phone? I'm waiting for Richard to contact me, but he wasn't. I've made sure the receiver is on the hook. It will ring as soon as he calls. Ah, that must be him. Answer lah! Hello, Shigima Residence. Richard called me out to meet him, and we came here to Komagata Bridge. Richard, there's something I need to tell you. Funny, I was just thinking the same thing. We're on Komagata Bridge over the Sumida River. There's a highway on one side and a freeway on the other, but they're both deserted this late at night. Okay. There's a mockingbird. The Sumida River. The water is filthy and horrid, but at night, when it's still, it looks almost peaceful. Can I ask you something, ma'am? Is the Sumida River what you Honjo folk picture when you think of home? I couldn't say. All I can tell you is that I can hardly stand the sight of it. Right, should have guessed. This was where they found him after he went missing, all alone, floating in that horrible water. All I can think is how scared he must have been. How cold he must have been. What did he ever do to deserve something so awful? I've come here every day since then, and I pray to the river to give me back my son, day after day after day. You know, in olden times, people believed rivers marked where our world met the next. So the act of crossing flowing water had a huge amount of spiritual significance. Back when Edo was founded, the people of Chuo saw the Sumida River the same way. They associated the far side of the river with the afterlife. That same place would later become Honjo. All their fear and revulsions accumulated there and took root. But then, the Ryogoku Bridge sprang up after the Great Fire of Meireki, and just like that, Honjo was part of the city too. And as it turned from farmland into a town, the people surrounded it with man-made rivers and crisscrossed it with canals and waterways. Weren't those to prevent flooding? That's what I was told. They were, but that's not all they were for. Their other purposes was to contain all the corruption that had built up at the far shore and stop it leaking through to our side at the Great Divide. Officially, they were a physical barrier, but unofficially, they were a spiritual one too. So, if I have this right, are you saying that Honjo is a place where the real world meets the afterlife? Exactly. That's why the rite of resurrection is here, rather than anywhere else. I'm sure of it. And it's probably why the 7 mysteries and their curses have survived to the modern day. And I guess that make this spot we're standing now, right over the water, the border between life and death. If there were a place where bringing back the dead might be possible, I reckon it's here. It's funny that you mentioned spraying to the river. That might have done more than you think. Is that supposed to make me feel better? Just thinking aloud, ma'am. Well, it's nice stuff. Oh, that's right. There's one more memory I have of this river. Do you mind if I tell you? Go ahead. It must have been about 20 years ago when I was still a schoolgirl. Back then, the Sumida River was much filthier than it is now. It was full of garbage and industrial discharge. It was scummy and slimy and it stank. You could look out over the water and see dead cats and dogs and pigeons just floating. And one day, among all the filth and garbage, there was a piece of my missing classmate's hand. What? It was almost a miracle when you stop to think about it. What were the chances that someone would find a part of her that was still recognizable? And that although everything but the palm hand had rotten away in the water, the part that was left would be an identifiable scar? And that they could tell it'd been a murder from the blade marks on the bone. Wait, are you talking about the Nejima murders? So you have heard of it. I'm impressed. I assume you were but an elementary schooler at that time. I wasn't really aware of it then. I only heard about it after the fact. I had no idea the victim was a classmate of yours. What? Nejima murder? Another is... He chose her for no special reason, but simply decided she was an opportune target on seeing her walking alone at night. After keeping her locked up several days, he restrained her, sewed her mouth shut, and severed her fingers and toes with a box cutter while she was still conscious. As she screamed silently behind her sealed lips, he proceeded to her wrists, her ankles, her elbows, her knees, working his way through her inner slowly and methodically. This victim constantly wavered in and out of consciousness. Her ordeal continued until she dies of blood loss. What? This is so gruesome. Nejima dismembered the rest of her body and disposed of it behind his home in the Subida River before cleaning his storeroom and returning to his everyday routine as if nothing had happened. The brutality of his actions shocked the nation when they were eventually reported. Once apprehended, Nejima readily divulged the details of the murder. Yikes. Fucking yikes. What? Fumichika Nejima? Ew. The double chin guy, some serial murderer. To be honest, it was all a bit of a blur. A wave of chaos just pouring around me. Some things like that. They said the rest of her body must have sunk to the bottom of the river. They camped at the riverbed, but they only ever found pieces. Everything else must have rotted and flowed out to the sea. Afterwards, I heard that all the divers who had been looking for her fell ill. A sorry story for everyone involved, huh? It's funny. Everyone figures the river's filthy already, so one more piece of garbage won't hurt. But every little bit makes it worse. It's a vicious cycle. I know I wouldn't want to go rooting around down there myself. That's right, which is why the riverbed is the last place anybody will go looking. Or so was the killer's thinking, I suppose. The times were changing quickly back then. Things were confusing. Everyone seems to be in a hurry. Young people were moving to Tokyo in droves. Some even ran away from home to make it in the big city. And they made easy targets for bad people. A lot of them ended up disappearing without a trace. You see, back then, if you chopped a body up into tiny pieces and threw it in the river, it would rot quickly and discreetly and sink to the bottom, never to be seen again. Are you saying what I think you're saying? They arrested him shortly after, Fumichika Nejima, the man who killed my classmate and cut her into pieces. He was so methodically about it, it couldn't have been his first crime, and people began to wonder how many other girls he'd murdered the same way. The police never found any evidence of other murder in the end, but the river knows the truth. How many corpses has it swallowed up over the years, I wonder? That same thought spread through everyone's mind, and they started to avoid this area. So really, this river has been ranked with corruption for decades around. Or at least, that's how it seemed to me. Well, is that interesting? Well, I can see why you don't have any good memories of this river. With all that darkness lurking beneath the surface, there's no reason that you would. Still, if I may, ma'am, I'm surprised you know so much about the Nejima murders. But how can I not? After all, I was the one who found the hand. The police actually wrote me a thank you letter. They said it was only thanks to me that they managed to bring Nejima to justice. That was the only time my father ever said he was proud of me. I guess it just wasn't the killer's day. Sometimes I wonder if he resents me for it. That Nejima guy? There's another Sumida River? The Sumida River. I have nothing but awful memories of it. Done. Okay. He's gazing down at the water. I'll go first. There's something I need to tell you. What's up? Well, that girl, Michio Shiraishi, the one who was with Suichi on the day of the kidnapping, that's her. Well, she's dead. She's what? The student who committed suicide last week, that was her. I heard something like that had happened. Never got the name though. Talk about bad luck. We finally get a lead, only to find it's turned into a literal dead end. Unless her death was the whole reason Jonoichi was so shaken up. He said she was going to curse him. Was he talking about her taking revenge from beyond the grave? It seems like we're back where we started. Not necessarily. That teacher knows something, I'm sure of it. At the very least, I'd put money on him having something to do with Miss Shiraishi's death. That's why he's so scared of being cursed by her. I see. And also, something tells me he knows more about your son's kidnapping. In any case, I think I've got a good idea of what he's hiding. Call it a hunch. A hunch? Well, more of a theory. Care to take a guess? I can't say for certain, but Mr. Jonoichi is the killer, huh? Oh? What if Mr. Jonoichi silenced Michio Shiraishi with a murder? What do you think? I see, so you think that Miss Shiraishi's death might not have been a suicide. That would certainly give him a good reason to think she held a grudge, but I'm not sure I buy it. That might be a little far-fetched. I see, I'm sorry if I disappointed you. I'm not really cut out to play detective. Well, no point dwelling on speculation. The truth will come out in time. Right now, I think we need to have another chat with Mr. Jonoichi. Jonoichi. Please, go ahead. Alright then. I've been poking around places connected to the 7 mysteries, looking for curse bearers, and I think I've found a few candidates. First, a tall man I ran into the Kinshibori Park. I asked him for direction, trying to probe him a little, but he turned the question right back around on me, and he was out of there the second he figured I wasn't what he was looking for. I got the sense curses were nothing new to him. I am about 40% sure he is a curse bearer. Then there's this middle-aged guy I saw on South Gaswell Street. There's no question about this one. He had one of the curse stones in his hand. He had a nervous air about him too. It was clear he was up to some shady business. Gathering soul dregs, I bet he make a good target. Next up is a pair, a young man and a woman I saw around Ryogoku Bridge. This time the man came up to me and asked me flat out if I was a curse bearer. I told him I didn't know what he was talking about, and he backpedaled and left. Looks like they lurk around there often. Looking for kindred spirit would be my guess. Though it didn't seem like they were quite working as a pair, gathering soul dregs in a group might be a decent idea if you could make it work. But with things being how they are, it's got to be hard to find folks one can trust. They got brass though. I don't know what their deal is, but I'd like to find out. Last is two detectives I've seen sniffing around. The police are involved? Not necessarily. A body turned up in a local park a few days ago, so they might just be looking into that. Still, the park's got ties to one of the 7 mysteries. Might be it was a curse that did the guy in. And if they sending in detective from the head office, then something's gotta be up. How do you know where they're from? Let's just say that when you're in the business, there are some faces you get to know. Anyway, that's everyone who caught my eye. You found all of them in so little time. I really did hire the best. It's all in the name, ma'am. Richard Kai, P.I. No, wait. Make that Richard Kai, investigator extraordinaire. My, an investigator extraordinaire. Is that why you can dress like that without drawing attention to yourself? You bet. An investigator extraordinaire can blend in like a chameleon in any outfit. Well, that aside, the middle-aged man and the young couple sound the most promising, am I right? Whichever we pick, it's still too early to make a move. It seems like the curse bearers are less involved with each other than we thought. Plus, there are still others we don't know about. I say we hang fire and see how things plays out. Once more bodies start showing up, that will get the pot nice and hot. And once it's boiling, our chance will come. Is something wrong? Not really, it just struck me. It's been 20 years since the Nejima murders. So it has. Not to spook you or anything, but I thought you might be interested in knowing. Life in prison doesn't always mean life. There's a precedent for first-time offenders being allowed out on a parole after 20 years. Only if they're found to show remorse and the desire to reform themselves, of course. That's right, I'm impressed you know so much. Still, it's hard for someone with a criminal record to reintegrate into society. I heard they've been trying to fix that recently, matching inmates with jobs and accommodation. Oh, really? They keep an eye on them, of course, and make them report in to regular checkups. But to avoid discrimination, they keep the inmates' records a secret from everyone but their employers. But they even give particular notorious criminals new identities, so they won't be recognized in the workplace. My, the way you put it, it's like you're saying Michika Nejima could be out on parole right now, back in society under a new name, with nobody any the wiser. It's possible. As it happens, a little birdie told me about a big name making parole a few months back. I don't know if that was Nejima, but our discussion just now did bring it to mind. I see. How unsettling. Now that you mention it, I just remember something too. What was it? I was passing Komagata High School a little while ago when I saw someone. A janitor, I think. And I could have sworn he reminded me of Michika Nejima. Oh? He looked a little different after 20 years. Much thinner, and then I remembered too. I told myself I was just seeing things. But perhaps it was him after all. So, what next? The big question now is what the rest of the curse bearers are up to. Luckily, the Sumida River is a good distance from any of the 7 mysteries. It's unlikely the other curse bearer will come all the way here. I can finally have a moment to think. I see. Alright. What? Suspend? What does suspend mean? There's no other option left? Suspend? You cannot continue. You cannot currently progress any further. Once your situation have changed, select resume to try again. Pressing suspense will return you to the story charts. Okay, so we have to start the other. Tetsuo Tsutsumi, Chief Inspector of the Metropolitan Police Department, First Investigative Division, is investigating the mysterious death of a fellow officer. He visits the scene of the incident, the former Yasuda Gardens, with his subordinate Jun Eryu. 11 p.m. It's before midnight. Hey boss, forensic is all done. The crime scene is clean. The other officers have all gone home. It's just us now. The park should be able to open back up tomorrow like nothing ever happened. I doubt it'll get many visitors after everything that's happened. You'd be surprised. Lots of people love that kind of things. I bet they'll be lining up to get in. Occult stuff is really popular right now. Did you not know about that, boss? Sounds stupid. Well, it's not exactly rooted in science, but if ghosts really did exist, we could just ask them with the purpose. Somehow I doubt it'd be that simple. Oh, but you know, I've heard that high school girls are really into this spirit board thing these days. Supposedly, you can call on spirits and talk to them by using a board with letters on it. Wouldn't that be something? You can try it out yourself if you're so interested. Hey, that's not a bad idea. Let's give it a try. Let's give it a go sometime, boss. What now? Stop messing around. You really think we're gonna solve this case by moving a coin across a scrap of paper? Sounds like you know all about it. We gotta be open-minded. What if that's how police work is gonna be from now on? Don't make me laugh. What? Spirit board? Divination is the Ouija board. No, Kokuri board, right? Kokuri-san. Listen up, Ario. You can't go blaming the death of your body on something like the occult. I don't care if it was ghosts or the occult or what. Whoever or whatever it was that did this. I'll get them. I promise you that. Well, you got the right attitude, but we don't even know if this is a murder yet. Biases weaken our judgment. Get too fixated on one thing and you stop seeing everything else. Aye, boss. So now that we've finished investigating the scene, let's review what we know. Now? It's getting late. I figured we'd head straight home from here. Come on, we've got to go over all the info we've gathered. And what better place to do that than here, at the scene of the crime when we can soak up the atmosphere. Soak up the atmosphere? The hell is there to soak up? You must be really into this occult stuff if you get off on being in a place like this. Wait, you mean being somewhere like this doesn't get your blood pumping? No way! No, don't turn this around on me. I'm not the weird one here, cripes. Ugh, fine. Let's get this over with. Aye, boss. Surrounding first. Let's look for the chicken sticker. This pond, they say it used to flow into the Sumida River, but the river becomes so polluted that they cut it off. The former Yasuda Gardens here in Yokoami Ichome were originally built as part of a daimyo's estate back in the Edo period. The park became city property a number of years ago and underwent extensive renovations. There's not a soul around at this time of night. quiet doesn't even begin to describe it. Jun Eryo, a detective in the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, First Investigative Division. His rank is sergeant. This is his first time leading a case. It's like he's graduated from rookie to newbie. He looks put together on the outside, but acts like a kid most of the time. Honestly, the force could use more people like him. The scene? This is where the victim was found. It's clean now. It's almost feel like nothing happened here at all. But once an incident like this has come to pass, there's no going back. Not that knowing that is any consolation. What happened? I've got a bad feeling about this case, and my gut is really warm. I knew this would be a treacherous case from the moment we get dragged into this. What's wrong? What's happened? What happened? What case? Murder case? A police officer's been killed, right? I guess there's nothing here? There's no sticker here, right? A couple of playthroughs ago, I was so scared turning around. Now I'm vigilantly turning around to find any sticker. A chicken sticker at the best. There's no files yet. Okay, let's talk about the case. So early in the morning yesterday, a staff member found the victim collapsed here in the park and called the police when they realized he was dead. While there were no obvious external wounds, the fact that he was a police officer and the evidence of a struggle means it likely that this was a murder. The Sumida office sent it over to us since it involved the death of an officer, and we were tasked with the investigation. What we need to do is figure out what happened and whether there was a foul play involved. I think that about sums things up. More? But, boss? Yeah? Is this case really important enough to assign to someone from the investigation division? I mean, a friend of mine died, so it's important to me, but it's all up to the higher-ups. I'm sure they got their reasons. Boss, you know something, don't you? It's all become clear in time. Try not to worry about it too much. Thinking about it, the only thing we know for sure is the identity of the victim. That means there must have been something special. There must have been something special about him, right? Maybe he knew something he wasn't supposed to, some kind of secret or something. Isn't that right? You're pretty sharp sometimes, you know that? If you picked up on that, you should be able to put the rest together yourself. Again, the case. Well, it is our duty to get to the bottom of a suspicious death, especially one involving an officer. The victim. The victim is Hajime Yoshimi of the Juvenile Divisions of the Sumida City Community Safety Bureau, 27 years old, single. He mostly dealt with cases involving juveniles and education. Juveniles? About the schoolgirls? His rank was senior police officer. You know him well, didn't you? What was he like? Yes, we were in the academy together. We still went out for drinks together every month or two. He could be a little rowdy, but he was like a big brother to us all. He was kind and cared about his friend. For better or worse, he wasn't the uptight type of cop. The man always showed empathy, and I heard he was popular with the locals for it. He treated each and every troubled kid he met with compassion. He had a great track record when it came to rehabilitation. Sounds like we lost a good one. Yes, we did. We truly did. I knew being a cop was dangerous. I knew something like this could happen, but it's never easy when it happens for real. I know the feeling. He didn't seem to care much about climbing the ranks, but he was at the top of our class. Only problem was that he took on so much. He had the most unfinished paperwork too. I always felt we'd need an unusual guy like him to help us solve all our unusual cases. Hajime Yoshimi? Curse Echo! No. Don't worry, you're plenty unusual yourself. Me? I was the most normal of my classmates. Besides, the real weirdo among us quit the academy a long time ago. It's the PI, right? Richard. There was one even weirder than you? But the victim. Hajime was quite the bad boy in school, apparently. He ended up with the police a lot. He said the officer in charge was good to him, helped him get back on track. The reason he wanted to become a cop was to pay his kindness forward. Said it was the first time he ever took his studies seriously. That's a good story. I love that kind of thing. Makes me wanna drink in his honor. Please don't make fun of my dead friend. Hey, I say it in his honor. You should aspire to become the kind of cop people miss when they die in the field. You say that like it's sure thing I'll die. Besides, if I end up biting it, I'm sure you'll be the one who miss me most, boss. Eh? Come on, don't be like that. You'll hurt morale. Well, I guess how much I'll miss you depends on how much this investigation goes. I can already see it. Area, no! Why'd you have to go and get yourself killed? I have no idea what's going on in that head of yours. Yeah, that'll be the sight to see. I can't wait. Red flag, death flag. You can't wait for your own death? Get it together, kid. Sheesh, you really are something. Thank you? What about the victim's family? The Yoshimi's family is from Kitasenju in Adachi City, but Hajime's parents died a long time ago. He lived there all alone, no siblings or anything. I went to his house a few times for drinks. I was surprised. It's this huge, old-looking place. Like, you know, the kind of place that seems super haunted. And he lived there alone? It looked like the home of an old noble family. It was hard to imagine him being such a delinquent living in a house like that. There's the bias I was talking about. If he's from an old family, I'm sure things were complicated. That's a bias too. He never talked about any of that, even when we were drunk, so I don't know much about it. Oh, one more thing. Yeah? Hajime was engaged. He'd been seeing his fiancée ever since they were in high school. Over 10 years. They just started talking about getting married. What was her name again? He showed me a picture once. She was a beautiful woman. That's all. How terrible for her. But she may know if there's been anything going on with him lately. We should speak to her. Yeah, his fiancée may have been his only confidant. I'm sure someone at the Sumida Police Department has already contacted her. I'll look into it tomorrow. Tomorrow if you live, boy. Again? Hey boss. I leave the case that Hajime has running. Oh great, that's the kind of stuff I want to know. What was Hajime working on the day he died? Well, according to his report from the day before, he had 2 cases involving juveniles. The first was the suicide of high school girl who jumped off a building in Kamezawa last week. Okay, that's the connection. Yeah, I did hear about that. The girl name was Michio Shiraishi. She was a second-year student at Komagata High School. But it seems... yikes. Is that her leg? Oh no, it's the pavement. But it seems as though Hajime had contact with her even before this incident. So she's been in trouble for some time. That's the thing. About a month ago, he happened to see her walking around town. She looked upset, so he struck up a conversation with her. He was sure there was something bothering her, but she wouldn't tell him what. Must have been a trouble at home. That's what he thought too. It seems he visited her home, spoke to her parents, but they said there was no problem, so there was nothing else he could do. And now she's dead. That is possible he could have prevented her suicide then. He must have been devastated. And that's why he was looking into this Michio Shiraishi again. He must have thought that something terrible had happened that drove her to end her life. But ultimately, he never reported the findings of his investigation. I see. So you're thinking that it might have been something to do with his death. We'll have to find out what it is Hajime discovered. Right. Let's check the Sumida Police Department about that tomorrow too. Again, if we leave tomorrow... More? And what was the other case he was working? This one is also related to a Komagata High student. A troublemaker named Hitomi Okuda. She seems to be a leader of a group of kids who get up to no good. Juvenile delinquency. Fun. She was pretty bad for a while. Multiple charges of destructions of property, assault and battery, you name it. Hajime had been working for her for about 6 months, and she was finally starting to open up. Then, he met with the girl the day he died. Well, every school's got its problems. But I'm sure he'd be worried about how she'd get on without him. Right, just when she finally found an adult she could trust, she might act out without someone to help her get through this. We'll have to make sure the Sumida Community Safety Bureau, I don't know, I forgot how to pronounce that. Bureau does their job. But we can't rule out the possibility that meeting with this delinquent girl had something to do with his death. Then we'll have to interview her too. Yes, you're right. She might have been the last person to see him alive after all. I'll ask Sumida to introduce us tomorrow. Sumida? Though who knows if they'll actually let us talk with her. That's what we hired you for. Lay a little boyish charm on them if they need convincing. Yeah, I'm sure they prefer me over a scary-looking old man like you, boss. Watch it. I'm still your superior. You oughta act like you respect me at least. Oh, I thought I was. You were? Shit, is that just how your generation speak? You really are a new breed. It's probably just me, actually. Well, don't think you can get away with that with other people. So anyway, boss, were you even listening? We've got quite a bit to look into tomorrow. First, the 2 Komagata high school cases that Hajime was handling. And we need to speak with his fiancée as well. I believe that's it for tomorrow. As for the cause of death, we won't know until the autopsy is done. Wasn't he dead 2 days ago? From what we've seen, though it appeared to be some kind of acute heart failure, but since he had no record of chronic illness and had no visible wounds, it's possible that poison or drugs could have been involved. Dying in the middle of the park like that, it certainly seems suspicious. We found signs of a struggle at the scene, as well as footprints belonging to an unidentified individual. We've got people trying to identify those prints. If we can find who they belong to, we might be able to figure this whole thing out. Yes, wouldn't that be nice if there were the end of it? The only things Hajime had on him were his badge and his wallet in his pockets, so we can rule out a mugging. Though there probably aren't many people who think to try mugging a cop as big as him. I've also heard that Hajime got into a fair few fights in his younger days. He started judo once he became an officer and rose up the ranks quickly. Sounds like the perp would have to have been pretty strong to take on Hajime. Time of death was around 11 p.m. 2 days ago, outside of the park's operating hours, of course. His body was found early in the morning yesterday, 11 p.m., the day before yesterday. What was Hajime doing out here at that time in the first place? That's the question, isn't it? The entrance to the park is closed after hours, but it's a small gate that'd be fairly easy for him to get through if he really wanted to. That would, of course, be breaking and entering, but what do you think, boss? Someone called him here? It's hard to imagine a cop like Hajime would trespass for no reason. And since it seemed like someone else was here with him, could they have called him here? Oh, that does seem likely. They must have been talking about something pretty sensitive to come here in the middle of the night. So Hajime met someone here to discuss something in secret. And then they got into a fight? No, that wouldn't match the cause of death. There were no wounds on the body that would indicate a spontaneous scuffle. The perp must have planned something. Then you think it was meditated? That would mean they called Hajime to the park with the intent to kill him. Well, there is still the possibility that it was just some kind of accident. Maybe the perp tried to threaten Hajime and things went south from there. We should be able to get a clearer picture once we know exactly what killed him. Right. But either way, I'm so glad you're back in the first division, boss. I've always admired your work. You were like a god to me. You were the whole reason I became a detective in the first place. Yeah, about that. People have been saying that ever since you first entered the academy, but yes, that's because it's true. I couldn't believe you got transferred out of the first just as I was assigned to it. So getting to work a case like this now, just the two of us, is a dream come true. Happy as I am to hear that, well, how should I put it? What is it? If that's true, I'm not sure you've been showing me the appropriate amount of respect. Huh? But I do respect you. Don't tell me you're going senile, boss. That's exactly what I'm talking about. When you run your mouth like that. It's getting late. You must be sleepy. Don't worry, boss. I'll make sure we get out of here soon. Yeah, I got it. I've been wowed by your shrewd detecting ability all day today. Oh, really? Funny, I've been wowed by you too. What? Is that it? On the topic of family, what's yours like, boss? The hell is wrong with you? Prying into my personal life all of a sudden. It's just, I've never heard you talk about them or anything. Oh, are you single? Shut it, that's none of your business. Well, ever since I joined the force, I've been thinking. The department really pressures young officers to get married. I wonder why that is. You don't say anything like that though. How should I know? I caved to the pressure myself and got married 20-some years ago. Huh? So then... God, you're relentless. She took our daughter and left 4 years ago. Thanks for reminding me. Oops. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't believe she gives up on a guy like you. I was never home much. Too focused on work. I'd come home late only to get called right back. Out again. Plus, being a cop is a dangerous work. I don't blame her for getting fed up with all that. How sad. Especially when you're out here putting your life on the line. Oh, is that why you transferred out of the first? It was already too late by then. You better be careful, Ario. You say that, but there's not much I can do, is there? That's the nature of our job. There aren't many who can really understand it, not unless they're involved with police work themselves, or related to someone who is. But wait, you have a daughter, boss? You really think I want to talk about her after all that? Have some sense. Come on, I promise I don't mean this the way it sounds, but how old is she? Jeez, you don't know when to quit, do you? At least try not to look so intrigued. She's a bit rough around the edges. I think most men are intimidated by her. Last I heard, she's living by herself and going to college. Wow, a college student. Men love an educated lady. Stop that. What kind of cop are you? Making baseless assumptions like that. She's living on her own though, huh? You must be worried about her. Worry? I don't even know where she lives. Oh, she hasn't told you. Probably because she knows you'll follow her around everywhere. I would not, I don't think. Come on now, we both know that's not true. Listen here. You may look like a mean old man, but you sure have a soft side. What? Is that supposed to be a compliment? I can't keep up with you. We're done talking about this. Oh, that reminds me. If you got married 20 years ago, it must have been right around the Nejima murder. You know your history. Yeah, that happened a year or two after our wedding. You were the one who arrested the killer, weren't you? We started that case at the academy. Oh, really? I was only in elementary school at that time, but I still remember people talking about dangerous criminal getting arrested. All that was just cracking the case, finding the guy, it was all just happenstance. I'd really rather not think about it. It was a disturbing case. Did it not make your skin crawl when you learned about it at the academy? It did. We were all terrified. Sounds about right. No one could believe that such a mild-mannered man could have committed such a terrible murder. If we had overlooked one little thing, we may never have caught him at all. I think I remember hearing there was only one charge about him in the end. That's right. We don't have the evidence. I knew there was no way such a meticulously planned crime could have been there first, but we may have stuck Fumichika Nejima in a cell, but it was no victory. He always had the upper hand. And all the damage he did to everyone involved. Especially the victim's classmates. It's already been 20 years, huh? God damn it. This is why I try not to think about it. I'm sorry. So, all this occult stuff, have you heard about it, boss? What are you talking about? This rite of resurrection thing that everyone's talking about. No, not you two. I've been hearing about that shit everywhere. Oh, you have? That's surprising. Who cares what people are talking about? I've got nothing to do with our job. But don't you think the occult stuff with this case feels, I don't know, realer somehow? The whole thing started right here in Honjo in Sumida City. So I thought that maybe. Cut it out. Nothing good can come of getting involved with that rite or whatever, or that record of fates. Sounds like you know all about it. Boss, are you secretly into the occult? Stop that, seriously. This isn't a joke. I get why you'd be intrigued by something called the rite of resurrection after a body of yours died, but bringing the dead back to life, that's the stuff of fantasy. It's not real. So don't go hoping for miracles, got it? Well, boss, I think that about does it. Right, let's call it for tonight. I'll see you tomorrow. Oh god, what is that? Boss? What's wrong? Don't tell me you're going senile. Damn it, it was that case all along. Boss, what is it? Is there something over there? Such deep sorrow and resentful memories from who deceived the forces. Those who spread lies kill them all. What? Good grief! So if we lied the day before? The power of the cursed stone, Evergreen Beach, you can use it to kill someone who intentionally tried to mislead you. So when back in the very first road, if Shogoki us telling a lie, we could definitely die? The fuck? A murderous impulse seeps into your soul. Sa, korose. Kikoeru ka? Crossbreeder, yo. Boss, what's the matter? Don't tell me you really went senile. Sorry. I'm fine. Ario. Yes? I have some bad news. Oh no. Your senility is kicking in, isn't it? No. We got a bit of trouble on our hands. Looks like we'll be working some overtime. We're not going home tonight. Huh? What are you talking about?